Hello and welcome. My name is Chloe and this is episode 7 of A Big Knit Podcast. I am a knitter based in Victoria, BC on the west coast of Canada, and this is a knitting podcast or a vlog all about my current projects and future plans and yarn, occasionally sewing, all that good stuff. I think it'll be short today. I don't know. I've got my tea in my fancy new mug, and my tea is Moonlit Mint, I think, but it's from, Keats & Co. I got it from the Good Store, and I got this recommendation from Ali Makes Everything, which is a different content creator on YouTube, and I ordered like one of their sample packs of their tea, and it's all been good. I think I don't have any affiliate with them or anything, but she does, and so if you're interested, I think she has a code that's like 20% off or something, so you can always go check it out on her channel. I have 2 finished objects today, and 1, 2, 3, 4 whips, only 3 which I can show you because one of them includes Advent yarn, and it is only November still. But we'll get going, I suppose. This is my Tides sweater. It is a test knit I did for Rebecca Clow from the Crayabea this year, earlier in the spring. I think it was like February, March time, because it was supposed to come out in April. And I'm wearing it because I watched her most recent podcast, and she says that she is finally going to be releasing it. I'm not really sure why she held off. I think maybe she was... I don't know. I don't know why she held off, but I love it. I knit mine in BC Garn Loch Lomond in the color Erica, which is the purple. And then I have some blue in there as well. It's the same brand, but I can't remember the name of that one. And it is held together with Knitting for Olive mohair in the color Whale Blue, I think. It feels like a really long time ago. It's kind of, you might not be able to see it on my sweater because I did mine not striped, with the exception of these 3 bits on the sleeve, but the stitch pattern creates these waves. And so her sample has like stripes all over. And then yeah, I did just this monochrome, and I am a big fan. And then I have kind of like blue details on the ribbing on all the hems, because an all over striped, like an all over wavy striped sweater, I didn't think was gonna fit into my wardrobe very well. But I love this color. I feel like a blueberry when I wear it. And so, yeah, I'm wearing it in celebration of the fact that she's finally going to be releasing the pattern so other people can make it too. Okay, so my 2 finished objects. I'm going to start with one that's not knitting, but knitting related. And it's my little skein of yarn. So my partner for his birthday wanted an e-spinner. He kind of wanted to try more indoor hobbies. A lot of his hobbies are outdoors, and we get lots of rain where we live now, and it's kind of nice to have an indoor hobby that he can do next to me while I'm knitting on the couch. So for his birthday, got him an e-spinner. He did try the spindle, the drop spindle, for a while, but I'm not sure how much enjoyment he got out of that because it was kind of fiddly and having to stop and like wind the yarn up. So of course he was spinning, and then I wanted to try, and so I got this fiber from one of my local yarn stores. It's called Naughty by Nature, and they have a pretty good selection of colors in a few different types of fiber. So this is a Corriedale, and I did one strand. Anyway, it's a 2-ply. So it's a 2-ply. So 1 ply is in the green, and then the other ply I alternated between the brown and the yellow. It is unusable. It is terrible. Some, like, especially here on the back, I'm hoping you can see it, but it kind of looks like maybe the green was not spun, does not have enough spin or twist, doesn't have enough twist. And so yeah, it's unusable. And then yeah, and then some parts are, you know, either the green ply or the other ply, like the sizes is really different. There's some where I won't show it to you because I don't think you'll be able to see, but it looks like it's barely holding on for dear life. But I really had wanted to try it. I'm very proud of it. So it's just like hanging on my craft bulletin board over there next to his first skein, and he did it, and he put, we don't have a nitty knotty, and so he put it through my ball winder, and nothing looks as good caked up as it does in a skein. And so he's like, this is ugly, I'm not gonna keep it. And then he was letting like one of the cats play with it, and I was like, no, like we need to keep your first ever skein of yarn. And so I used my Swift, and I spun it around my Swift, so it kind of created that loop, and then I twisted it up into a little skein, and then he was much happier because of course it looks better in a skein. And he was like, oh, that actually looks pretty good. And I was like, I know, I can't believe you're gonna throw it away. So yeah, that's my first finished item. I don't really expect that I'm gonna be partaking in a lot of spinning. I think that's gonna be more of a him thing. But I'm really looking forward to hopefully one day him making yarn that I can use in something. I think it'd be really fun. But I'm still very proud of it, and I'm gonna keep it forever. It's unusable, but it's so cute. Okay, and my one finished knitting object is my mom's Christmas present. So, you know, same old disclaimer that, Mom, if you happen to be watching, if you could skip forward like 10 minutes, even though I know you know what you're getting. I'm so excited. It turned out so good. I'm obsessed with it. So this is the Rose Garden Wrap by Lisa Hannes. And I knit this on 5mm needles. I used a DK weight yarn held together with a Sari alpaca. I'm 100% certain that the gauge isn't right, and that's fine because I don't really care. So, where to start? First of all, it's so squishy. This combination of yarn is really nice because I knitted it on the 5mm needles because I wanted it to be quite drapey and like airy. And if I had done that without the alpaca, I think it would be kind of holey. But with the alpaca, it really fills in quite nicely all of the gaps, but it still shows the lace and cable pattern. It's knit tip to tip. So you do some straight ribbing, and then you start with some increases, and then there's a section that you repeat 4 times, and then there's a middle section, and then there's a section that you repeat 4 times where you're decreasing, and then a single decrease section, and then some more ribbing at the end. My ribbings aren't fully the same length. They're close, but let's see if I can figure out. I think it's like 6 rows difference. And I do have more yarn of each, like more of each yarn. Yeah, so that's the difference there. Not a huge amount, but I ran out kind of like on my last, I was doing the ribbing, and I was like, oh, am I gonna have enough? And I was close, but not quite, and then I decided I didn't want to wind up more like 2 skeins of yarn to only use, 10 meters of each. And so I don't think it really matters. You can't tell. Oh yeah, see there, in the sun, or in that light, it looks really good. Very nice. I'm a big fan. I've got my little, I have these little tags that say made by Chloe, and I sew them in all of my knitting, and I think that's kind of nice in case I like give something away or I gift it. It's kind of like a little memento, the fact that it was made by a person. It was made by me. So I'm really excited to give this to her for Christmas. The modifications that I made are that I didn't make it as long and I didn't make it as wide. So like I mentioned with the construction, there's a section that you repeat 4 times on each side. So you do increases on one of those, and on the other side you're doing decreases. I did only 3 repeats, so I removed 2 of the repeats, and I only did increases / decreases on 2 of the 3. So it's not quite as wide and it's not quite as long. I suppose I should actually just maybe wrap myself in it, and that will show you. So it is still wrap size. It's not as large as the one on her Ravelry project page, but it's still big enough that it can be like wrapped around the shoulders. Or, and the reason why I kind of made that modification was in case my mom wants to wear it as a scarf. So she can do both, and sorry, getting distracted. So yeah, she can wear it either way, depending on what she likes, but I really love how squishy it is and how much it like bunches up around the face. I think it's gonna be really nice and warm. My mom runs on the colder side. She's a cold lady, and so I'm really hoping that she can wear this at her desk when she's working, or she can wear it as a scarf out and about. And yeah, it's much better than the last time I tried to make her something. I tried to crochet her a cardigan. I think I've told this story before. Tried to crochet her a cardigan, didn't really follow a pattern, just winged it. It was really chunky yarn. It ended up enormous. And I kind of like gave it to her anyway, and I was like, it's a reading cardigan, it's to read in. And they make fun of me all the time. So I figured a scarf is a much better bet. And I really enjoyed the cable and lace pattern on it. It's every right side row has cables and lace, pretty much, with the exception of the straight ribbing on either end. But it's really intuitive, and like I really just got the hang of it after, you know, the first 20 rows or so. It's like, oh, okay, like I understand what's happening. The yarn that I used is Laxton's Sheepsoft DK in the color Aesgarth, and that yarn habit Cloud Sari in the color Smoke. It's a pretty close, oh, I hope you can hear that. There's, I guess, like maybe a garbage truck or something outside. The colors are a fairly good match, but because the Sari is hand dyed, there's like a little bit of variation in it. No, I'm not gonna dig through it and try to find a spot, but there's a few areas where it's like just slightly darker, and I think it looks really nice. So essentially I was like, oh, do I even give it to her? And I was like, no, of course I give it to her. I'm gonna make something similar but different for myself, but I really liked the process of making this one. I like the concept of doing like a tip to tip shawl, because doing the triangle shawl that just increases and increases and increases, I can't do it. Okay. My first whip that I'm going to talk about is my Calm Down cardigan by Lily Kate France. I was hoping to get farther on this, but the button, and I feel like this happens every time I hear about someone knitting a double knit button band, but the button band took forever. Oh, hi Rosie. So I was at the point where I had knit just a little bit of the button band, and she's just laying on my yarn. Hi. Yeah, you're so sweet. I had knit just a little bit, probably like to here. I had knit that much of the button band and then put it down for ages. So I picked it back up. The way that this button band is constructed, you pick up all the stitches along the neckline and then you knit the double knit button band, and with every pair of rows you attach it to one of those stitches, which was a new type of double knit button band for me. I've only done one other, which that one was you knit the entire button band and then you mattress stitch it on. And as tedious as this was, I prefer it this way, because to have to knit a whole button band and then to sew it on, I think for me it just feels more tedious, and B, attaching the button band as you go helped me properly place my buttonholes. Yeah. Okay, so I am now working on the sleeve. It has this really nice ribbing that now that I've attached the sleeve, it's kind of opening up there, and then it also has that type of ribbing here on the shoulder as a saddle. It has quite a few short rows on the sleeve, which I think is quite interesting, because a lot of the time when I see a drop shoulder cardigan like this one, because this has quite a lot of ease built into the pattern, I feel like most of the time I don't see quite as many short rows, because like for example with this, like this drop shoulder comes fairly far out, so when I put my arm down it's sitting mostly flat, right? So this has quite a lot of ease in it as well, just like this cardigan will. And so I feel like when drop shoulder patterns have more short rows in the sleeves, it's because there's less ease, and so this drop is more like here, right? I'm hoping that makes sense. So yes, I don't have like a huge amount to say on it at this moment. The one thing that I'm hoping kind of evens itself out, especially after blocking, is it almost feels like along the back neck between the shoulders I picked up too many stitches for the button band, because everything else calls for picking up 4 in every 5 stitches, but then along the back neck it's 5 in every 4, so you're picking up more stitches than you normally would. And I don't know if that's to kind of like create a little bit of space so it will sit more nicely around the neck. I'm not really sure. I haven't ever picked up more stitches than exist along the back neck of something, so I don't know yet how I feel about that. But when I block it, it's just something that I'm gonna try to, oh yeah, see, you can see it right here. If I fold it in half, this button band kind of like sticks out a bit. So it makes me feel like there's too much fabric, but there's absolutely no way in heck that I am taking that button band out. So I think maybe even if it is too big, like I don't think it's a huge deal because it'll be sitting on my back neck. Either my hair will be down or whatever, like it's not a big deal. And then the other thing, and this is only my second double knit button band, so I don't know if this is the case for other double knit button bands that are apply as you go, but in the places where the button band would curve, like around, like as it meets in the front as the V, there's short rows included in there, and then there's also short rows included here between the back neck and the saddle shoulder, like right in that corner, and you can kind of see it helps it curve, which I think is really smart. And so I could see myself using that technique in the future. I would just maybe, depending on how this turns out, I would pick up less stitches. on the back neck. Yeah. So all I have to do is finish this sleeve and then do the other sleeve, and then it's done. I do have buttons picked out already. Excuse me, ma'am. Excuse me. Thank you. I do have buttons picked out. They are like, they're leather, and so combined with the gray, it feels very like academic, if that's a good way to describe it. And the other option is I have floral buttons. Maybe not floral buttons, but they feel like, they look kind of tie-dye. And so that would be more maybe like whimsical. I don't know. When it's done, I will hold them both up and see what they look like. Yeah. In terms of the kind of like the data side of that one, I'm knitting it on US 4.5 millimeter needles, and I did the button band on 3.5 millimeter needles. And the gauge, oh, what a cute cat. The gauge is 21.5 stitches and 27 rows. My row gauge is quite a bit bigger than what the pattern calls for. I think the pattern calls for 32 rows. And because for the, like for all the, pretty much all of the panels, maybe except for like the body, but it's, you know, knit 3 rows and then increase, and then knit 3 rows and then increase to kind of create the V. And so I had to like do a little bit of modification there, because otherwise I was going to end up with the V down by my belly button, and I didn't want that. But that's the only modification. So yeah, I just removed some of the non-increase rows. And yeah, I'm hoping to have that off my needles fairly soon. I'd really like to wear it. I think, as I mentioned in my last video, cardigans are something that I find myself wearing all the time, but I only have 2 of them. And one of them, I accidentally cropped it pretty significantly. So for me, that one is not quite as wearable. And so the one cardigan that I have that I wear all the time is my Nola cardigan. And I mean, I love my Nola cardigan, but I want other cardigans also. So yeah, hoping to get that done soon. My next main whip, which I can't actually show you because it uses Advent yarn for the color work, but I am test knitting the Kintra sweater for the Crayon. I have this really bad habit of seeing something and being like, ooh, I want that, and so I apply for the test knit, and then I get chosen, and I'm like, uh-oh. With what time am I gonna knit this? So my main color for it is Sonder Yarn Co. Sunday Morning DK in the color Wanderlust, and it's this like really nice, like deep earthy green. I've had it in stash for a really long time, and so I'm really excited to get to use it. I really like this yarn. It's like a little bit rustic, but it's not scratchy. It's a mix of, I think it's BFL and Masham. Yeah, 75% BFL, 25% Masham, and it is a Canadian yarn company, which I am a big fan of. It's on the pricier side, so kind of like keep that in mind if you're ever interested in trying it, but really, really, really nice quality. And I really want to show you how it's knitting up with, sorry if you saw that, I won't tell you what. There we go. Yeah, there we go. So that's my green color. It's really nice. I like it so much. I recall that this yarn blooms really nicely also. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I knit the color, so I've finished the yoke. I'm ready to split for sleeves. And I've kind of put it aside because I know that I can knit the body and the sleeves in like 2 weeks. So I'm not stressed about this, and I have other things that I wanted to finish first. Okay. Oh, I guess maybe the things for that one. So I'm knitting a size 6. I am knitting it on 5mm needles. I think 5mm needles, and it's nice. The entire yoke is done in 1x1 color work, and it's just like, it was so fun to do. Oh, excuse me. Because every 3 rows you're switching a color out, and so it was like just very rewarding, and it's like it just went so quickly, like even as you kind of get to the end of the yoke. It was really good. And the other thing is that, so it's a circular yoke sweater. I've only knit one, and that was the one that I finished in my last episode, which is the Knix sweater. And I'm not really sure how I feel about circular yoke sweaters, but this one is circular yoke, and then it includes raglan increases, just like prior to splitting for sleeves, which I think was a really smart way to do it. And I haven't split for sleeves yet, so I don't know for sure how it'll fit, but I already think it's gonna fit way better than the Knix sweater. And it's interesting because it's the same gauge, so I think it's either 20 stitches or 22 stitches per 10 centimeters, and they're both like color work yokes, and so I think it'll be interesting after it's done to be able to compare how they fit, because in theory the sweaters will be the same size, and the issue that, not the issue, but that one I feel like has a lot of fabric on the arms, which I don't love, and I think that using the raglan increases on the Kintra sweater is a really good way to kind of like address that issue, which I think is fairly common in circular yoke sweaters. So I won't be able to share that one really until probably, until January. I can't remember, like if I'm filming every 2 weeks, there may be one that's after, there may be a podcast between Christmas and New Year's where I could share it, but until it gets to Christmas I can't really share that one because I don't want to ruin anybody's surprise. Okay, so my next whip is the Oxbow Socks by Andrea Mowry, and I'm knitting them as part of the like weekend long knit along that she's running this week, or this weekend I guess. It's from Thursday until Monday. It's for American Thanksgiving. I am not American, so I'm in Canada, but I thought it would be fun to try. I've never tried to partake in a knit along with a deadline, and I was like, I'm pretty sure, like I'm done one whole sock already, and I'm done the cuff of my second sock, so I'm almost 100% certain that I'll be able to finish by Monday. Anyway, so this is the Oxbow sock by Andrea Mowry. She released it in partnership with Farmers Art of Fibers, I think. And it has this really nice like textured pattern. It might be getting lost a little bit in the video just because my yarn is variegated, but I have one whole sock, and I just finished the cuff of the second sock. So if you have seen other episodes, I've been having issues finding the right fit for my socks. I'm a fairly new sock knitter, and I've either made them too short or too wide or too small, or too big and too long. This one, from what I can tell, appears to be chef's kiss, the perfect fit. And I think what my issue was is I don't know how I came, like I have wide feet, I think, but in my head that also translates to a high instep, which I don't think I do. And the instep is like if you are at your heel and you go diagonally towards the top of your foot, that in there is your instep. And so what I was doing is I was making my heel flap too long. And so this time, which I think I figured out with my last pair, and so with this pair, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna follow her pattern. I'm gonna follow the pattern for how many rows on the heel flap to do, and hopefully it fits, and it does. It fits perfectly. So that is good to know for the future. I'm knitting these on 2.25 millimeter needles, and I'm doing a 72 stitch sock, which is, I think that's like the adult large, because like I said, I do have wider feet. And the yarn that I'm using is, oh gosh, I keep forgetting, the Wanderer and her wool. And she released a, like I said, a monthly surprise yarn thing every month. This is the September sock yarn, and I bought it. I've never bought anything from her before, but I saw on Instagram the color story, and it was like these beautiful autumnal colors, and so I bought it. And then when I got it, I was like, this is so bright and yellow, it's really summery. But then I realized that it's like larch. That's the color. It's like larch yellow. And so yeah, I'm really happy with it so far. I'm really excited to wear them. I actually don't have any pairs of perfectly fitting socks. The closest that I've gotten is the Hibernal sock by Summer Lee Knits, or Summer Lee, and those ones are just slightly too short. So I'm really excited to have these. I don't have anything going on this weekend, and so I'm just gonna knit on them, and I'm gonna finish them, and they're gonna be magical. I guess I'm not gonna release this video until Sunday, so at that point it might be a little bit too late, but I've really enjoyed the sock pattern. It's a 4-row repeat, but it's really easy, and it kind of makes it feel like nice and squishy. And like I said, so far, like, I've followed the pattern exactly, and well, I followed the pattern for the heel flap exactly. I think I might have maybe not it's fine, it doesn't even matter. Stay focused. I followed the pattern for the heel flap, and so the other thing about this pattern is that she's released it in the same pattern. You get the sport weight numbers as well as a fingering weight number, and I think that that's pretty cool. This is just so nice. I really love the texture on it, because to me it almost makes it feel kind of like rocky, if that makes sense. Like, it's got some like texture to it, and so it feels rocky and like very earthy, and then combined with the yarn that I have, it makes it feel like very much like an outdoor yarn. Can't wait. Okay, the final whip that I have is it's a broken rib sweater that I am self-drafting for my boyfriend. I am knitting it out of Drops Soft Tweed, sorry Rosie, in the color Cobblestone. And it's a nice, I think it's like, it's alpaca, wool, and viscose. And it's nice and airy. Hopefully, because there's not too much alpaca, it won't be too warm, but it's like quite soft. And of course it's on an itty bitty cable, so it looks terrible, but that's fine. And yeah, the reason why I'm self-drafting it is just because I couldn't find a broken rib pattern that I liked. And so I'm doing, it's like a 4x2, so 4 stitches that are stockinette, and then 2 stitches that will alternate stockinette and purl down, and I think it's gonna look really good. And yeah, that one's for my boyfriend. It probably won't be finished by Christmas, if I'm being realistic, but that's okay. All right, so that is all my whips. I do have 2 plans, knitting plans I wanted to share because I'm really excited about them. Well, one of them I'm excited about, but I also am like, what were you thinking? I have a really bad habit, as I just mentioned not too long ago, of applying for test knits, even though I have no business doing so because I have a million things to do. And I also have lots of whips that I'm working on. But I saw the Vivi Pullover by Sari Nordlund, and she was doing a test call. And I was like, oh, it's so pretty, I'm gonna apply. And so I applied. And I was like, that was silly. But also, Sari Nordlund is, I feel like, knitting celebrity. So I was like, it's fine. Like, I won't be picked. Famous last words. So I'm gonna be knitting the Vivi Pullover. And I'm gonna be doing it in this like eggplant purple. This is Sonder Yarn Co. I can't remember the name. It's not the regular Sunday Morning DK. It is the Sunday Morning Luxe Sport. So it is 65% BFL, 25% Masham, and 10% cashmere. And it is so soft and it's so squishy. I'm not really sure why I'm unwinding it. You're not gonna be able to see it. It's a very earthy, deep, muted purple. And I've had this one in stash also for a long time. I bought it at the same time as I bought that green yarn. And originally I was gonna use this to make a Busan sweater by Aegyo Knits, and I decided that I don't want to make that one anymore. And I had also decided that I really wanted to hold it with a mohair. And so I went and I found this mohair. It's an absolute monster cake. This is 1,000 meters. So it's a kilometer of yarn. And it is from, I think it's handmade in fibers. I'll have to double check that. Both the bands are, like I have 2 balls that I need for mine, and the bands are inside, and because it's so long I'm terrified to get yarn barf. So this is what it is. If you're familiar with Sari Nordlund's test knits, you don't have to knit the whole thing. You have to knit the yoke. You have to knit the underarm, and you have to knit 1 sleeve. And I have until January 2nd to do that, which I think will be no problem. And I'm really excited because I think that this is my color and it's going to be so beautiful. Okay, last one. Oh yeah, this will be a shorter episode today. I'm very impressed with myself. I feel that I'm in my sock era. I've been enjoying working on them. I, in a while, haven't gotten second sock syndrome, and I just love wearing them. They are so squishy and delightful on my feet. And I want to use more, like I want to try more stitch patterns. And like in my head, it makes sense to do that on socks because you don't have to commit to a whole sweater. And one stitch pattern that I really like is on the tessellated sweater by Andrea Mowry. But I've heard that that one is a bit of a beast because it takes forever to knit, and I don't really got that in me. Especially when there's so many other things that I want to knit. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna knit the totally tessellated socks. This is, I'm hoping that's focusing. I think it is. This is the Nimbus Sari from Sunday Fiber Co. in the color Breccia, and it is my leftovers from knitting a long sleeve Tolsta tee back in April. So I have this leftover, which is funny because I for sure thought I was going to be playing Yarn Chicken on that, but I only had 2 skeins, and this is, it's a decent amount. It's like 20 grams. And then I have this Sunday Fiber Co. Barefoot Organic Sock, which is in the color Creamsicle. And this is an Eco Superwash, so 20% organic merino, 80% organic merino, 20% recycled nylon. Yeah, and it's an eco superwash, and so I think that means that it's just like a more eco-friendly way of producing superwash yarn, but it still feels like very squishy and nice. And then I've picked this earth yarn spiral grain sport in the color Hickory, which is like mostly purples and a little bit of pink and blue and a little bit of yellow in there. And so I think that as a combination in a pair of socks, it's gonna be so fun. So this will be my next pair of socks. Yeah, like I said, I've really been enjoying working on socks recently, and yeah, I think it'll be a way that I can try new stitch patterns but not have to commit to a whole garment, and my feet will thank me. So I'm really excited about that. I kind of want to challenge myself next year to make 12 pairs of socks, like, you know, like a year of the sock kind of thing, where maybe not every month I'm making a sock, but over the course of the year I make 12 pairs. I think that would be kind of fun. I've started looking at some patterns that a couple of them I've knit before and I liked, but you know, maybe the fit's not quite right, or they're new stitch patterns. I think that will be really cool, so stay tuned for that. If you have stayed this long, thanks for joining me. I hope you have a very lovely Thanksgiving if you are in the US. If you're not in the US, I hope that, you know, you are getting excited for Christmas or Hanukkah, or that's actually the extent of the holidays that I know that happen in December. So I just hope you are having a nice time. I hope you have some cozy beverages. If you would like to like the video or subscribe, that would be great. If not, that's totally fine. And I will see you in a couple of weeks. And you know, just because everyone loves cat content, come here. Oh, I woke her up. She's like, Mom, that was really rude. Oh, she's so sweet. Rosie says hi. She actually doesn't say hi. She is irritated that I picked her up, but that's okay. Okay. See you next time.